You're watching Samuel Goodwin on YouTube, and I won a contest this week. So this is from a new yo-yo company out in the UK called UK Throw. That's Throw singular, ukthrow.com. Yes. And because they were just getting started, he decided to have this contest, and I won. So I got a nice little note here. You can't see, but there's a discount code on there where everyone's first purchase gets you 10% off on your next purchase. So you got that to look forward to. And this is the iYoyo Shooting Star. One of the first things you'll notice is that it comes with an extra bearing and an axle meant to go in here, because this works as a responsive yo-yo and an unresponsive yo-yo. So you need a narrower bearing and a wider bearing. You can see the difference here from the last plastic that I got. It's a little bit different shape, a little bit more rounded. I think that's kind of a preference thing. They both have the finger spin hubs, but this one's a little bigger, so my finger fits in there a little easier. This one's a little smaller. And yeah, you can see the difference between this wider bearing and this narrower bearing right there. And dimensions wise, they're pretty similar width, pretty similar height. They feel about the same weight. I guess this one will be a little bit wider when you put in the wide bearing. So it comes set up with a narrow bearing, which means that even though it's got a bearing and it's a modern shape, it's still going to behave like the yo-yo you were used to as a kid, where if I just pull up some, then it's going to come right up. I mean, this is how all of them used to be before they started doing this a little bit wider bearing and requiring a bind and stuff. So this yo-yo comes with both the narrow bearing and the new wider bearing, and then you can just sort of pick which one you want to do. So a lot of people start with a responsive yo-yo like this and then ultimately switch to unresponsive, just because that's how you're going to be able to do a lot of the more advanced tricks. But a lot of tricks, especially the ones that you're going to learn in the first, I don't know, a couple months at least, were developed on yo-yos that were even like harder to use than this, right? Responsive, narrow bearing yo-yos. So you can do things, you know, you get your stuff. It's just that if you're at all sloppy with the trick, if you let there be any slack in the string anywhere, then it's gonna try to seize up on you instantly. So I can do this, but if I mess around, I get hit in the knuckles. Compared to the Antidote, because it's a little bit less angular and a little more rounded off on the rims, it feels a little more comfortable in the hand. I don't know how much difference that makes, because I would just as happily use the other one for hours and it wouldn't matter, but maybe that's something that you care about, in which case you would go for something like this instead. And the fact that this comes with both bearings means you can try unresponsive, you can try responsive, you can switch back and forth technically, although I wouldn't recommend switching too often, but technically that's something you could do. Yeah, so you can do your tricks, it's just that as soon as you give any slack, it's instantly going to come right back. So now we're going to try swapping out with the wider bearing and see how that goes. So here's with the unresponsive bearing, which means if you wanted to come back up, now we need to do a bind like that. If we do this, we do not get the convenient thing, which in some cases I like the responsive. It feels a little flashier when you can do a trick and just kind of throw it in the air and it'll come back to your hand. Here I have to bind, and unless I do an especially flashy bind, it doesn't really work. A lot of tricks that you might see demonstrated on a responsive yo-yo still work on an unresponsive yo-yo. Like a lot of lessons will teach, you know, double or nothing on a responsive yo-yo. The difference is just that, you know, you got to bind afterwards. That's fine. It does have finger spin cups that appear to be a little bit bigger than the Antidote's finger spin cup, where it's a bit of metal there, because plastic, your skin doesn't rub on as easily. But I don't know how to finger spin, so you'll have to figure out if that's good for you on your own. I hear it's nice and some people like it, and because it's a little bigger, it makes it a little easier to catch on your finger when it's spinning. So spin time doesn't really appear to be an issue. I know some people think with plastics they're weaker, they're not going to spin as well, but this seems totally fine. The Antidote also seemed pretty nice, so I think either one you could easily be pretty happy with. This one just has where it's got the two different bearings, and also this one might be a little more available just because I feel like the people that make the Antidote maybe don't make as many. So it might be an issue with just where you're able to find one. But both are pretty good if you want a inexpensive yo-yo to play with, and especially if you specifically want a plastic one so you don't have to worry about banging up a metal one. Haha! So just like I said with the Antidote, because it is plastic, it does feel a little bit different, but I'm not having any trouble doing any of the tricks that I know how to do because it's plastic. You could just definitely tell it's different, but you could tell similarly if you had a different kind of metal yo-yo, then you would also feel that it's for sure different. So that's probably not a big deal. Yeah, so Triggs work just fine. It's a good shape. It's pretty similar to any metal one you get. It's not like it's some weird handicap, I think. It's just made of plastic. It comes in quite a few colors. I liked this one. There's like 5 or 6 other colors at least. So you can get whatever you think is good. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on the iYoyo Shooting Star. It's a pretty good starter yo-yo, and really just anybody who wants a plastic yo-yo, this is probably great. I think having at least one plastic is nice, just because then you have something you can toss into places maybe you don't want metal banging around. Certainly easier to have in your pocket, and you can give it to other people and not stress so much about them ruining your yo-yo. That's all I've got for now. I'm going to go skate some more and probably hurt myself. And hopefully you'll have a wonderful weekend and drink some water and get some rest and, I don't know, do something fun. Good luck.